Hi, in this video we're going to look at creating a CRM. So a CRM is a customer resource management system. There's a few different things that we need to identify and build with this, right? So we're building a quick CRM. What we're going to do is we're going to first build the ability to add in a customer. We're going to then build in the ability to add notes to that customer and then go from there. Because once we kind of have that, we've got the basic functionality to see a series of events that we can create, right? So once we have the basic functionality for building that, we can just replicate similar things to attribute different fields and different types of things back to these customers. So once we're able to create a customer and add notes, we're able to also create a customer and start adding in sales. So what do we need first? We need some inputs here. So let's go with customer. Let's do company name. Let's make companies name. And then let's do another field for them. We will make this a address. Great. So company name and address. I always like to work on placeholders. Let me remind me what they are. There. So now we can add a company name and an address. Put a button out here. Customer. Good. Wonderful. So now I have the ability to create customers. I want to make customers. I want to see them on a list in front of me. So let me go repeat group here. Type of content. I'm making this in the same database I did all my other tutorials on this course on. So you will see all those other ones in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new type of content here. I want them to create a customer. So I can't pull that into this group until I do that, right? It's not going to show up. I have new clients from the old one, but we're going to make customers. So let's click here, start an edit workflow, add a thing, create a new thing. We're going to create a new type. This one we're going to call a new company. Or let's just call it company. Does not necessarily need to be new. Create a company. Field. Address. Oop. The address. And our company name will just be text. Great. We could even go in and add like a company phone number and stuff too if we want to. But actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to add company, and then later we're going to go back and we're going to make it so we can add different fields to the company. So we're going to have company, the address, a phone number, but personally I like to have the phone numbers attached to individual contacts, right? So I know which person at the company to call for different numbers. So we're going to create contacts at the company next. We're just going to complete this first. So that will do that. We also want to make sure that we are resetting our inputs. And now when we preview this, let's see what this is. Content. Oh, yeah. Company. Yeah. Now it's happy. We made this list companies. So to make sure it works and it is creating companies, really quick thing to do, insert sales company, company name. There we go. Now, so we're gonna put these inputs in, it's gonna show up here. Stuff we've gone over before. Loading, 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 loading. Company one. Why didn't that work? Let's figure it out. Bubble is very easy to use, so it can be very easy to make small mistakes that end up making buttons not work, or maybe you forget to check a box for a setting, or you make a setting, one thing when it should be another. So It's very easy to do, cause these problems. So whenever this happens, don't get frustrated. Just go back, look at the work you just did, and then go back to your workflow. Make sure your workflow makes sense. Make sure you set things up the right way. A lot of times it's something really simple that you just need to do to correct these things. And it's part of how you end up learning Bubble faster is when you don't get frustrated and you take a second and you look back and you say, all right, what mistake did I do that caused this to happen? Because a lot of times you're going to do the same little mistake over and over, and it will prevent you from doing it later, or when you do it in 6 months from now, you'll wonder why a button doesn't work, and you'll instantly remember, hey, I did that before. So even if something doesn't work, keep at it, try to figure it out. So when I created this portion, I was talking instead of actually adding in what the inputs are. So company name equals, input company names value. Address equals input address value, right? Previously that didn't happen, so all I did here was do nothing. So I'll update this page, and now we're actually going to create something. So company one address. There we go. Why? Didn't the name pull there? Now we have another problem. So if I go here, I'm pulling companies. I didn't do my data source. See, this is why it's important to make sure we're doing all the parts. Let's do a search for companies, just grab companies. We don't need to do any filters at this point. So I'll do a preview. I'll refresh again. I have company one plus the blank companies from when I originally was pushing the button and creating nothing. So company two. There. But you can see here that if you don't make these a forced field, like you have to have them full, you can create blank data in your database. You don't really want to do that. It's just going to waste entries. And if you have any users that do it, it's going to look really sketchy. But this is a test app. We're just building for fundamentals. So we can fix that easily too. So go to app data. I will go to my companies and look at these two blank ones. Let's just go ahead and delete those. Confirm. And they're gone. Great. But I can see my company one, company two here, relevant data. Great. So I've got companies that I've added. Okay. So I've created these customers, these companies that I'm working with. I've got a list of their names that are going to show up down here, but what about their contacts? So I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to delete this, and I am going to go over here and I'm going to grab the link, and I'm going to make it so the link, link in a new tab. It's going to be the same as we did current sales companies, company name. But we now want to make it so we're sending data to another location, right? We want to say, okay, I'm going to click on this, and then another tab is going to open up that's going to have this company in it. So I've got companies. I've got the ability to open it up and have companies in it. I need the page that they're going to go to. So I need to create a new page. Company card. That's what I'm going to call it. There we go. So now we have a company here. So any data I send here, I want to designate. So I'm going to double click on the main kind of part here. That'll pop up this where I can go and I can change the type of content. So this to be company content. So when I click my CRM, enter my customer, and I click on this, I want to send current sales company to it. Now you do an internal page, and the page will be the company card, and all I need is company. Great. So we're going to click this. It's going to send the data to that page, which is the company card. We don't have anything showing up here, so let's make it show our data starts showing up here. Let's grab the current page's company name. That'll make the company name show here. And then let's grab the address. You can do this for as many fields as you want with each individual company. I'm keeping this relatively short and relatively blank because if I show you how to build every little field, it's going to take you 4 hours just to learn how to build a company page, when most of that time would just be doing this exact same thing over and over and over again for every field you might want to track on a company. So address, great. So now when I click that, it's going to go here. Now maybe on this I want to add a contact, right? So I want to have this here, add new contact. That'll be name, and then we will do another input. That is phone number. We will make that a numbers only. And then maybe we also want to track their position. So type in their role. Great. So we can have a contact. So let's move these over a little bit here. Get a button on the end there, maybe. There. Little button, I'll put it here. Great. Add contact. Great. So I have the ability then to make another thing, right? I'm gonna make a contact, but I'm gonna attach the two together. I'm gonna add this group right here just so I can track that it's working, and can't add the type of content until after I create contacts. So this, go into here, and we're going to make a new thing. So we're going to make something called a company contact. And that will have a few fields. That will have the name, text. It will have the role, which will be text. And it will have the phone number, which will be a number. There, great. So name is input names value, role, input roles value, phone number is input phone numbers value. Ooh, don't need contains. There. There. Input phone numbers value. Why are we doing that? Because I designated it has to be as a number, so it's trying to convert it to a number. Apologize, made a mistake here. This is fine, left as text. And then we'll make it phone numbers value. No, it's not. Why is it doing that? Input phone numbers value. It's because of the way I made the field. Okay, good learning moment. So I made this field where I created company contacts. I'm having some internet problems, which is causing problems. Hold on, I'm going to pause. It might be what's causing this to happen in the first place. Sorry about that. My internet had a little bit of a problem. So for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to delete that field and remake it real quick. I'll make it as text. that will make it simpler to do this workflow real quick, because really we're just trying to get relevant fields to show up. Input phone numbers, value, great, good. Now it all works, perfect. So now I'm going to create contacts, track their phone numbers and roles so that I can show them down here, right? I can see this is this person with this phone number with this role at the company. Then I can log certain activities to it. But when I want to do a search, I'm going to do a search for companies. Or sorry, it's a very key part I forgot. When we create this contact, we have to attribute this contact to this company. Okay, so how are we going to do that? We're going to have to create a company contact unique ID. And what this is going to be is going to be a text field. And everything you create in Bubble gets a unique ID. So we can use that. So if I scroll down, I can get to current page company, and I can get current page company's unique ID. So what that means is this company that we have that we're open and we're looking at and pulling data from for this page, we're going to say, what is that open? What is that unique ID? We're going to use that to filter data now. So if I'm in here again and I say search for companies, if I just search for companies, I'm just going to get a list of companies, right? But I don't want companies, I want company contacts. So I take company contacts, I could say company unique ID equals current pages companies unique ID. Then only the contacts created for this company will show up. Otherwise, I would be able to have a dozen different companies with, and every time I pulled just a company contact, I would see all of them, right? There has to be some way of filtering it and some way of designating it. And we'll sort by names. We'll do descending just because it's better. Okay. Great, that's all we need to do there. I'm gonna drag some text over. This is again where we're just gonna go quickly, current sales company contacts, name, drag in another text field, current sales company contacts, role, current sales company contact, phone number. See now, when I enter one in, it'll be attached to this company alone. I'm going to show you how that works. CRM, preview. Now, I have the two companies we added earlier, right? Company one. I click on it, it pops open over here. I have company one, I have address that we put in. Well, pull a different address. Figure that out in a second. So let's say we have John. We have the phone number 555, and then their role is janitor. Add them. Great. John is here. Let's make sure that data doesn't show up in company 2. Pull company 2. John's not there. We did get our correct. No, we didn't get our correct address. I know what it's doing. It is because it is a global address I put it in as, and I did not type in a real address. It grabbed the closest actual addresses to it. That's why that did that. That's what I get for using fake data. So I want to add a new contact here. Let's go yippee. And then how to spell a easy word. Salesman. There we go. So I have Yippee, he's a salesman, that's his phone number. Wonderful. And I can go to either one of these and I'm going to pop open that data. But what if I want to track everything I'm doing with them? If I want to track everything I'm doing on the company. So normally you'd see, you go into a CRM, you have the company name, relevant information, you have contacts, the ability to add contacts, then down here somewhere, you have the ability to go in and see everything you've ever done with them. So let's do that. Let's go back to there, here. We have our company card here. We have these contacts. Now we're going to create something called activities. I'm going to slide this over because I want to actually, just for simplicity, make this a little bit bigger. And all the stuff I'm showing you here, these are really basic ways of doing everything. And the idea is you're going to be able to take these and expand upon them, right? This isn't a publishable app by the time it's done. It's something you can use for kind of concepts to grow your ideas into something. So if I take this and I want to say log call, great. This is going to be logging an activity that's a call. Actually, let's just change it to log activity. Maybe you want to just make it so we can do multiple activities really easily. So great, I have log activity there. Now I need to go back and I need to make that section below it. I'm going to decide what that button does in a second, but first I want to make a repeating group for my activities. Great. And now I will decide what activities are. So we're going to log an activity. We have to have a way of entering in what that data is going to be, right? So if I click log activity, it has to do something. And what I want to have log activity do is actually go to another page where we're going to enter everything that has to do anything with an activity in it. This is pretty typical inside of a CRM. So let's do log activity. No need to clone it from anything. Great. So this page is going to be a company contact. Great. So we will have the current pages, companies, contacts, company name. And then I also want to display the name of the company under it. So I know it's Joe at the building warehouse, right? I want to have this all there. So how am I going to do that if all I have is Joe? I've got Joe's info on the page. I don't have the company's. It's really easy. I'm going to actually go do a search for a company where the unique ID equals the current page company contacts company unique ID, right? So that'll grab me one company, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take their company name. So if I send Joe's information over and Joe works at the building supply company, the building supply company will show up right here. Great. So I'm then going to create a dropdown. My dropdown, I want to have a series of the choices that I'm going to have. So call, email, in-person meeting, and then I want to have a date for this, so we'll do date that this happened, and I just grabbed the date and time picker from over here, and what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to have the initial content be the current date and time. So that won't need to initially be populated, but this one they'll have to fill out. I actually want to make it so input should not be empty. That way this has to be filled in. And then we want to put in notes. So we'll add this. Notes, make it simple. And then we will have it be log activity. Great. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make it so the data from the other page comes here, tells us the company name and contact and everything. Then we're going to have this activity show up here. So what I want to do is I want to click log activity and we're going to create an activity. So we're going to have to create a new thing for this. So data and things, create a new thing. Type activity. So we're tracking activities on these accounts. And I want to have something that we can do for that. So I want the company unique ID. I want the the company contact unique ID. So what I'm doing is I'm making it so that I can have this attributed to not only the individual contact at this company, I have it attributed to that company, and then I'm going to have in the type of activity, which I'm going to get from that dropdown. And then I also have it so that I'm going to have the notes from that activity that we will get from there as well. So if we take a look at this, what are we going to take? We are going to take the person, we're going to take the company, their IDs, so we can grab that data later if we ever have to. We're going to take the options we put here. This is the type of call that we are making, the type of interaction, right? We had an in-person meeting, we had an email, we had a call. We're going to take the date and time, which we have to add that field, and then we have notes. So if I go back to here and look at this, right, date and time. But it's spelled that right. Date of activity. Date, and that will be from the date pickers value. Notes will come from the multi-line input notes. The type of activity will come from dropdown A. And then we have our company contact unique ID, which is the current page company contacts unique ID. Now, for this part, it is the current page company contacts company unique ID that we created earlier. So be careful with our naming conventions. That one's really close in this example. I wouldn't recommend building a whole big app with them that close. That was an oversight on my part, but making things very clearly stated on your how you're tagging everything will make your job a whole lot easier in the future. So we have this activity that gets logged, right? We logged that one activity. Then what are we going to do? We need to navigate back, right? So we want to navigate to the company card. I want to send do a search, right? I want to send a company back. Do a search for a company, their unique ID equals to company's contact, company contact unique ID. Great. So what we're telling it to do here is go out, find companies that have this unique ID, and it's going to return a list. So we know there's only ever going to be one in our database, so we just have to tell it to take the first item. There's only going to be one, but the system needs us to tell it, take the first item, just in case somehow there were two put in there. Because technically, inside a bubble, that is a possibility. If you build it wrong, that you could have two. So now, once we've added this, it should log the activity, navigate us back to the company card. You'll notice we have issues up here. The issue up there is that we don't have any type of content. And that is for this, where we need to go in and we need to have a list of this will be activities, and we have to have a data source, which is going to be do search for activities and an activity that has the company unique ID that is equal to the current page company unique ID. That will filter this. So it's going to be every activity that happened at this company. So there could be 10 contacts here. If you've talked to each one time, it'll show up there by the time we're done with this. So I'll put text in here. I want to know the current sales activities, type of activity. And then I want the current sales activities, date of activity. And then I want the current sales activities I could grab the creator if I wanted to. That's also data I could be grabbing in another way based on the user using it. But for now, what we're going to do is we're just going to say, here's the notes. Let's put the notes right here. Great. So we made a whole lot of changes really quickly to kind of how this works. Let's go all the way back to the beginning and take a look at how it kind of functions. So I'm going to create a company. Circus. Random address. Perfect. Circus. It's grabbing more random address from there. Wonderful. Now, what I want to do here is add a person. So let's use JoJo for the example. Random phone number. He's the CEO. Add a contact. So he's there. Log activity. My log activity button doesn't do anything. Great. So we built out everything for it to work except for making that button work. So let's go to our company card. Log activity. What are we doing here? We need to have this navigate where it will go to the log activity and it will send current sales company contact. Perfect. Now, if I go back here, let's refresh this. Still on Circus. It's JoJo, CEO. And now I have JoJo who works at Circus. I'm going to log a call with him. I'm going to say it happened yesterday. I just didn't log it till today. Talk to JoJo. I log the call. And hopefully this takes me back. It took me to Circus. Great. You can see I logged yesterday. I talked to JoJo. So it's kind of a really simplified version of a CRM and how you can make that flow together really well. Ideally, you want to also add in a sidebar or something here to hop around a little easier because right now we're stuck here. What I had it set up for is you click here, opens the company. You can do everything in the company over here, then go back. But it's really smart to build different navigations. So that's building a simple CRM. We can also look at adding in sales to this and how we would attribute sales to a specific customer. That's very similar to an activity. It's just creating different drop downs and stuff. And if you wanted to run a report on it, you just run something similar to how we looked at reporting in the other section that just pulls a tally based on that. So